Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 87 of the 476ers podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about yesterday's Cavaliers game and probably some other NBA stuff. So, stay tuned.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 87 of the 476ers podcast. I got it right this time, and you can guess why. You know what I mean? Because I looked at my downloads folder where I download all of the episode graphic thing, and then I'm 86. We're on 87, even though I think I might have said it wrong. Is it 87? No, fuck it, doesn't matter. Been a while. I was working on some music, so stay tuned for those who give a shit about your boy Brian. You know what I mean? I'm going to be putting some music out probably in the next month or so, kind of vacillating between whether I'm going to sell it as, its own thing, like you could buy a copy of it, or if I'm just going to put it on streaming platforms and call it a day. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers, our nemesis, a team that we have been trouble beating. Again, a team that famously last year spawned my Chalk It episode, which was probably the best episode I've ever done, arguably, which is what really made me understand that it's really unhappiness that makes me record the best. It's my anger and frustration with people that then allows me to come in here and just express myself in a way that is typically hilarious and fun to listen to. But again, the difference being that, as I said before, last year's Chalk It episode was because it was evident. You can tell it's just like, it's like some rookies, and like there are times where you can look at a player or a team or something and see does this guy either has it or he doesn't. He either just moves differently, something about him is different, or something about this team is different. And you could tell last year's team was like, oh no, we're beating up some bad teams. We're opportunistic at times. At times we win on talent just because we have Joe, just because we have Ben sometimes go off. Sometimes Toby was going off, and that was it. You know what I mean? It wasn't because we were actually good. This team this year is definitely different. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for the fucking coward ass, trash Brooklyn Nets, cowards, don't give a shit. If it wasn't for them, I would say that we're championship favorites. You know what I mean? Honestly, I know the Lakers are going to be championship favorites, but from my perspective, I think we're better than the Lakers. You know what I mean? I do. I don't give a shit they added Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond probably can't play at the end of games. You know what I mean? He doesn't make free throws. There was talks that they may waive Marc Gasol, but that may not really make a ton of sense. It makes sense why they were trying to trade Montrez. You know what I mean? Because Montrez isn't... 6-man guy, can't play any fucking defense. He huffs and puffs like he's the fucking man. Listen, I don't like Montrez. I think I said that before when I ever do it. I don't remember if I did an episode on the Lakers podcast or the one on the Lakers game. I might have, but Montrez just, I think I did because I talked about Dwight getting thrown out of the game. Montrez is Montrez, you know what I mean? You can't walk like you're the best player on the court when you're only one of the 10 best players on the court at a time. Like, you relax yourself. So, they probably wanted to trade Montrez because they would probably say, okay, we traded Montrez because you're paying him money, right? So you trade Montrez and you say, Marc Gasol, you're going to come off the bench because that's your best bet. Then down the stretch in a finals game, you can have a center who is a good defender who can probably play really effectively in 4 or 5 minute spurts and can hit free throws. You know what I mean? But now you're stuck with Andre Drummond, who can't hit free throws. And, again, listen, I'll still stand by. And I'm a lot of podcasts. Listen, they must be listening to me. They stole my idea. Either that or, just great minds think alike. That a lot of podcasts are saying the same thing. A lot of NBA basketball ones. There needs to be a rule that when you buy out someone, that the team who then signs him needs to pay a portion of that salary. You know what I mean? Maybe if you claim him on waivers, he can, you submit a waiver, you can sign him for for the minimum. But if you pick him up after waivers, you sign him, if you sign him as a free agent in the middle of the season, you got to pay a portion of that salary, a quarter of that salary. It has to count against your salary cap. And it's going to be now make decisions where our team's going to be willing to do that, get hard capped unless they already are hard capped and just straight up can't afford it. And that's how you avoid, listen, again, like I said, LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin, they're not why the Nets are going to win a championship. Let me be clear. You know what I mean? All of that was all social media shit. You know, oh, they got Blake. Now, that's like part-time fans that haven't actually watched these guys play and, you know, don't know. These guys, yeah, for sure. They can, what I guess, you know, you could say what makes it dangerous is the fact that, yeah, when you have three of the best players in the NBA on the floor, especially three of the best isolation players, it's going to open up things for guys like Blake and LaMarcus who can do a little bit, who have a little bit left to do. That's fine, but they were going to win without them. I think they were going to win without them. And guess what? If KD is supposed to be coming back, but let's say KD's injury was more severe and he missed, let's say he just missed the rest of the season, LaMarcus and Blake were not going to be why they would win. I assure you that. Anyway, so the point being, sometimes you can see it, sometimes you can't. I think we are a legitimately good team. You know what I mean? In the beginning of the season, you could poke holes in it, and no one was really talking about it, but I had noticed that we were beating up on a lot of bad teams. But then as we started playing better teams, we were still winning. You know what I mean? We were still winning. We were, you know, even with or without Joe, we were still fighting. You know what I mean? Except for against the Clippers and the Nuggets during this trip. But you know, a mark of a good team is a team that beats teams are supposed to beat. And then that against good teams, they step up. You know, they get up and it's like, all right, bet, you know, it's time to fight, right? And I think we've shown that over and over. You know, no Joe, and we you know, we went 4-2 on this road trip. I forgot what we are with Joe right now. I mean, we have a winning record. I did this before on the last podcast. We have a winning record without Joe. I mean, we didn't miss a beat. We're half a game out of first. You know, it's going to be hard to catch the Nets right now. I'll be honest with you. If we win tomorrow against the Timberwolves, which we should, the Timberwolves have been playing a little bit better since they fired. I'm sorry, what is his name? Oh man, the son of Flip Saunders. Oh man, I can't remember his name. Anyway, since they fired Saunders, they've been a little bit better. You know what I mean? They have been, but not that much better. And Joe dominates Cat at every opportunity. You know what I mean? Cat doesn't have any answers for Joe. So, you know, Joel should be back tomorrow and we should beat the shit out of this team. Just keep it real. You know what I mean? Keep it a buck. We should beat the shit out of that team. So we'll see. Last night's game, you know, we finally exercised the fucking Cavaliers. I mean, you know, we're 1-3 in the last 4 against them, dating back to last season. Just couldn't fucking guard Colin Sexton for our gosh darn lives. You know what I mean? I say gosh darn because it's Good Friday. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be disrespectful. Couldn't guard him for our lives all, you know, ever. Last night he struggles, you know, a little bit more. I think we forced him into some turnovers too. Yeah, so 24, three turnovers, 2 steals, 3 assists. Not a terrible game, but we also locked down pretty much everyone. There was a section here where Dean Wade, I had to rub my eyes because I thought it was Dwayne Wade out there. I saw D Wade. I said, oh shit, D Wade is back? Man, he really got white. What happened to him? As he went on like a personal 11-0 run or something, or like a 8, maybe it was an 8 or 10-0 run. You know, he hits like 2 straight 3-pointers and his layup, and we just can't fucking guard Dean Wade. Now listen, Dean Wade is a good player, but you know, relax. You know what I mean? Relax. Just having problems guarding them. They didn't have what's his face last night, Jared Allen. They played Kevin Love. I don't know if yesterday was Kevin Love's first game. I haven't been paying attention enough to the Cavaliers to know when Kevin Love's first game back was. I don't think it was last night though, but you know, he just got back in the last week or so. So you know, listen, this team isn't good. You know, they got Isaiah Hartenstein. I like Hartenstein. I'll be honest with you. You know, the Nuggets traded for JaVale McGee, I think, because JaVale McGee won a championship. He's won championships. He's won 2 championships. So, you know, he's been on a championship team. He kind of, you know, as much as everyone clowned him his entire career, rightfully so. Listen, JaVale, I know, you were mad about the Shaq and the Fool stuff because you felt that Shaq had kind of cast this aspersion on you that you were like this jokester or whatever. And you know, the problem was though, JaVale, like you know, you were doing some real wild shit. You was wilding, and they was just calling you out on it. And it's all love, I think. And now you're a champion and you deserve it. You know what I mean? You actually played a role on these teams. You know what I mean? You gave them something. You gave them a center when they needed a center, like a viable rim protector. And now you're on the Nuggets. The thing is, I think Hartenstein You could argue Hartenstein has a higher upside to me than JaVale. He could just do more on the court. Better free throw shooter, can shoot, step out and shoot a little bit. Showed yesterday he can be a solid rim protector. He had a couple blocks back to back. One on Ben, one on, I want to say Toby maybe. I can't remember. He's a nice player. I like Hartenstein. I liked him since last year. On the Rockets, just seems like he never. I don't watch him enough to know what the knock is. Why teams are not giving him more opportunities. I like him. I thought last year when they traded Clint Capella, when the Rockets traded Capella, that they had traded him because they thought Hartenstein could start. You could save the money and then have a guy who can step out and shoot. You know what I mean? So whatever, he's playing well, but regardless, this Cavaliers team is trash. You know what I mean? They're not good. They're not good. They started good, but they're not. They're just not good. You know what I mean? They're not. You know what I mean? And they started good partly because Drummond was being productive. Drummond can help you win games against shitty teams. You know what I mean? He can, because he's going to fill up the stat sheet. He's going to gobble up 20 rebounds. I mean, they don't have anyone on this team. They had 40 rebounds as a team. With Andre Drummond there, they probably had 55 rebounds or something like that. So Andre does that, and he'll have assists, and he can score a little bit and steals and blocks. He can do things that'll help. So against bad teams, he can definitely be successful. They obviously sat him, and that was it. Maybe they wanted to tank. I don't know. Tanking now is a little bit different than it was back in the day because of the lottery odds. But ultimately, this team is trash. They just have our weaknesses. They have two guards that can score, two small guards that can score, and we can't guard those guys. You know what I mean? We can't stick them. So they got Isaac Okoro. I like Isaac Okoro. Like I said, Dean Wade can shoot a little bit. He's something. I like Torian. He hasn't really been doing much since he's gotten there, but I do like him as a player generally. I can't speak on any of the, Matthew Dellavedova or whatever. Shetty Osman is fine. He's like a nice 3-and-D guy kind of dude. I don't know who Lamar Stevens is, and I don't know who Broderick Thomas is. I'm sorry. As much as I know about basketball, sometimes as you get deep into those, and those, I don't be knowing some of these guys, man. I'll be honest with you. You know what I mean? I'm sure if I hit up the homie TJ, I say, if I fix my mouth to say Lamar Stevens, he spits out Oregon or something like that. He just knows the college. He may not even know who Lamar Stevens is, but he knows what college he went to, I assure you. Anyway, so back to the players that matter. Yesterday, the other good thing about yesterday is we didn't really need our stars. You know what I mean? Which is kind of, disappointing because really over the last 3 games, I might be wrong. Actually, I think Toby had a good game against the Clippers, I want to say. I think he had like a 28, 8-7 or something like that. But Ben has been struggling. You know what I mean? Ben's been struggling. He's been struggling. I mean, he's just getting blocked routinely. I don't know if he's hurt or something. I mean, he got blocked by Joker against the Nuggets. And listen, again, I've said this about Joker. There was I keep bringing it up. The KOC, Kevin O'Connor did a great video about Joker's defense, about how, he's not a rim protector. He's not athletic, but he's such a high IQ player that he makes good defensive plays just because of his IQ, because he just understands the game, understands what guys want to do. And when he blocked Ben, it was more of he didn't meet him at the rim. He got Ben at the collect and was able to essentially block it. And Ben, when you're just solely relying on athleticism and, like I've said about Ben, he's not necessarily explosive, not a super not like a very quick first step. You're not really rising above anyone. You know what I mean? You're like in the open court. Yeah, you take off. You know what I mean? No question. As soon as he gets that rebound, he's out in the open court. But then, in the half court, that first step, and I don't even know. Like, I don't know what to say about Ben sometimes. Again, his post moves. I mean, you're getting locked up by Dellavedova at times. I don't even know. What would you finish? What, 2 for 11? Is that what you finished? Is that what it is? Yeah, 2 for 11. I mean, that's just, I don't even understand what to say. 1 for 3. His free throws he hasn't been shooting free throws the same. Great rebounding yesterday. That's fine. A few assists. That's cool. 2 turnovers. I mean, 2 turnovers is better than the last few games. The last few games, he's been up in 6, 7 turnover territory. I don't know what to say about Ben. You know what I mean? Well, it hasn't been a month since the All-Star game. So once we hit that month, I think it's like next week, once we hit the month from the All-Star game, Ben is back probably. Because what it is with Ben is with the off season and with a break in between, you need a month. You need a month buffer, and then he's back in the swing. So I'm sure we'll see that. His defense has been okay. Again, it's reminding me of the first month of the season again. You know, his defense is okay. His offense has been lacking and, you know, whatever, not making free throws. And then, boom, once it hit that month, he was out again. You know, just enough criticism. Somebody just has to be like, hey, you know what? Brandon Ingram is better than Ben. You know, I'm going to put it in the atmosphere. Ben. Brandon Ingram is better than you. All right. Let's see. Maybe tomorrow now he comes out, you know, 25, 15, and 12 or something. And we're like, there's Ben. We'll see. Seth, you know, shot really well yesterday. You know, he's been wilding a little bit ever since, and I mentioned this on that podcast, ever since the Doc told him he wanted him to shoot more. You know, he has been wilding a little bit, shooting some wild 3-pointers. Yesterday he shot some more open threes. You know, his game just doesn't lend to doing step backs and shit. He needs to relax sometimes. But we do need him to shoot. It's the, you know, that's a fact. Doc is right. He's not wrong. It's just that he needs to be a little, you know, don't be too overly conservative or cautious about what you're shooting, you know, because we need you to shoot, but be a little bit, you know what I mean? Don't green light, don't fur can it, you know what I mean? Don't do that. Chill, you know. But he played well yesterday. You know what I mean? We needed scoring, and in the first half, it was kind of it was a back and forth in the first half. It was the most frustrating thing ever to watch this fucking Cavaliers team. They're playing for nothing, and here we are just slugging it out with these fucking guys. We can't stop them, and it's just a fight and a fist fight of fury. Toby yesterday played okay. You know, 4 for 7. 12 points. Was in foul trouble in the first half. I think he only played 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Let me see. 15 minutes. He was in foul trouble in the first half, and then we took off. You know, he plays his normal kind of minutes in the third quarter, and by the time Doc was going to bring him back after he comes out in the third, by the time Doc was going to bring him back in around the 10-minute mark of the fourth, he got up to go to the scorer's table. We had started extending the lead, and he just called Toby back, and that was pretty much the end of the game. Danny, you know, Danny's been playing well. They showed a graphic last night. I mean, he's shooting 52% from three, or 50% from three, 52% from the field over the last 7 games, I think it is. Let me tell you something. If Danny's going to shoot like this, and, you know, I don't think he is, but if he is, we can knock on wood and hope, man, pray, right? If Danny continues this hot shooting, man, we are as fucking dangerous as anybody. You know what I mean? Because then you have a legitimate 3-and-D, not a legit, you have an elite 3-and-D guy, because we already know Danny's defense. You know what I mean? We know Danny's defense. Danny was the one guarding Colin Sexton yesterday. Let's be clear. It was Danny guarding Colin Sexton. Again, why? Because Ben struggles getting through screens. You know what I mean? So you put a guard on Colin, and he was giving Colin problems. And Colin still scored and whatever, but Danny was you know, Colin didn't score 36, and it wasn't super efficient. You know what I mean? Danny was giving him enough problems to make him think. So if Danny's going to be doing shit like this, 3 steals, 1 block, if he's going to be shooting like this, you know, we're going to give teams problems, because that means that against a team like the Nets don't play defense. You know what I mean? The Nets don't play defense, and it's going to behoove us to run those guards through screens. You know what I mean? To have Kyrie and to have Joe's going to get his, no question. But anytime Kyrie, anytime James Harden, anytime KD's a little bit different. I think KD, if he's healthy for sure, he's going to be defending. You know what I mean? We've seen KD do elite defense. You know what I mean? We've seen that side of him where he can cause havoc, is blocking shots, is getting steals, he just too smart. He's too smart. He's too good. You know what I mean? But guys like, and we've seen James Harden and Kyrie play good defense too. The thing is they don't want to commit to off-ball defense. That's what really separates the good defenders from the bad defenders in the NBA, for those who don't know. You know what I mean? Because if you're watching, you could watch James Harden at times on a one, and sometimes James quits on one-on-one defense. Let me be clear. James Harden, we've seen him quit on one-on-one defense, where he does that little, I'm not going to move my feet, I'm going to try to reach behind him when he drives past me thing. He does it all the time. But there are times when James, depending on who's guarding, like when James is guarding somebody he recognizes a really good player, he doesn't do that. You know what I mean? He's going to guard that dude as hard as he can. And we've seen James be successful, but it's the off-ball defense that he doesn't commit to. Same thing with Kyrie. So you're going to want to run those dudes through screens, get them tired, because they're going to bake us on offense. You know what I mean? It's going to be hard to guard them. They're going to be hunting Seth every opportunity they get. You know what I mean? Every chance they get, they're going to hunt Seth. And Seth is not going to be able to stop either one of those guys. But if Danny's going to be playing defense like that, that's one less weak link plus somebody who's dangerous. You know, someone that you're going to have to guard, someone that's going to allow the court to get opened up for Joe. So we need him to continue this shooting. Mike Scott, you know, he started at the center for us yesterday. You know, not a ton. It's Mike Scott. You know what I mean? Listen, I like Mike Scott. You know, I love Mike Scott. I love Mike Scott. You know, I will never stop supporting Mike Scott. I don't care how bad he plays. I'll never stop supporting him. You know, low maintenance. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, oh, you need me to play today? You got it. Oh, I'm off today? That's cool too. MDMA. You know what I mean? Dwight played great yesterday. Thank goodness. Thank goodness, Dwight. I have him on my fantasy team. I picked him up on my fantasy team after he got kicked out the second game because he said he was going to stop getting texts. And he did. Good job, Dwight. Good job. Because you were pissing me off. We lose Joe. We need a center. We play the Nuggets. They have the second best center in the NBA, arguably the best, but I'm a Sixers fan, so he's not the best. They have the second best center in the NBA. You need to not get kicked out of that game. You needed to not get kicked out of the Lakers game either. You know what I mean? You need to not be getting kicked out of games when we don't have Joe. Even when we do have Joe, you need to not be getting kicked out of games. So Dwight played well. You know what I mean? Dwight played big yesterday, I thought. Proof is in the pudding. 6 for 9 from the free throw line. That's excellent. One of those free throws, though, I mean, it's 6 for 9, but you almost want to say it was 6 for 10. The one free throw missed so goddamn terribly. I mean, that shit hit like the bottom of the backboard to the left of the rim, you know, kind of like where the rim, like the rim, and then go to the left, and then boom, the ball hits right there. I mean, there's a mark there in the Forum, whatever arena that is. Is that the FedEx Forum? I don't know what that arena is. There's a mark there right on the backboard, and it says Dwight was here, and it's the basketball. You know what I mean? The basketball just hit that shit. There's a crack there, like a spider web crack that, you know, if it's not taken care of soon, it's gonna, you know, spread out. Matisse is shooting, you know, he's, you know, still up and down. Listen, Matisse has been shooting well over the last month or whatever it was, right? The thing is that we got to always keep in mind, right? When you're saying Matisse is shooting well, it's particular. You know what I mean? And it's very, very curated situations that he can shoot in. Yesterday, he caught himself doing a little bit too much. One where he pump fake, did a step to the left, and he's not there yet. And that when he did that ball careened off the backboard. I mean, that with Dwight Howard, I mean, that backboard, pobrecito backboard, pobrecito glass in Cleveland. Oh my God. I can only imagine the first earthquake in Cleveland yesterday based off of Dwight's free throw, and then Matisse sidestep three that careened, and it hurt me to watch. I mean, it felt like if you remember, I don't even want to bring this up, I might cry. The saddest part in Selena, you know, when she's singing Dreaming of You in that dream sequence and the rose hits her in the chest, that's what it felt like watching Matisse. The ball hit me in the chest after that one. Then he airballs another one from the corner, and I mean, he missed threes. He missed threes every day. And then the one he hit was the wettest three, a rainstorm of wetness, a rainstorm. You know, I'm not going to turn this rated R or X, whatever. Wetness, the rainstorm of, wow, monsoon of wetness on that shot, on the one he made. But then on the ones he missed, the dryness, the Sahara, ground cracking. Goodness, nothing can grow there. The Dead Sea, the wettest, driest area on the planet. A sea of pure dryness because it has the highest salt content, and that's Matisse's shooting sometimes. Like you could, if you went into the pool and got out of the pool, just have Matisse shoot a jumper at you, and you dry off immediately. Just dry as shit now. Keeps you dry. Use that shot as a deodorant. You won't sweat. Anyway. And so, again, because of that, his three-point shot is very particular. He did yam on Dean Wade, though, and that was a great dunk because it looked like Matisse didn't know. He didn't know two things. He didn't know, one, that he was going to dunk it, and two, he didn't realize it was a highlight. They called the timeout, and he was just going, and he looked, and everyone was, like, cheering him on, and he started laughing. The most innocent person on the planet. I mean, he is the most innocent. He's the guy that he's so innocent that if you drive, like, you know, you're like, man, I forgot my insurance. I don't have my insurance with me in the car. And, Matisse starts sweating. He's like, oh, you don't have your insurance with you? That's illegal, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not like I don't have insurance. I just don't have the card with me right now. It's not a big deal. It'll just be a ticket if I get stopped, and maybe the cop will let me go because you can run the plates and see I have insurance. No big deal. And Matisse is panicking, but then you end up accidentally, you end up robbing a bank with Matisse or something, and because he's pure, he's a pure person, and he's loyal, and because of that loyalty and pureness, he ends up murdering somebody at the bank robbery, and then in the second movie, he has a drug problem. You know what I mean? Poor Matisse. You just watch the purity of his soul deteriorate. You know what I mean? Don't corrupt him. Don't corrupt him. Anyway, that's too much about Matisse. But great defense as usual. 3 blocks yesterday, 2 steals. I mean, again, he I don't know what the limit is for minutes that you need to play to make into the all defensive team, but I don't really give a shit. They're gonna have to change that rule for Matisse because you just have to. You know what I mean? I mean, this dude, 3 blocks and 2 steals in how many minutes? Well, he played 25 minutes because in the fourth quarter, but 25 minutes still not a ton. You know what I mean? Most of the all defensive guys are starters. You know what I mean? Marcus Smart is starting. Jalen was all defense. I think Ben obviously was all defense. Rudy's all defense. Kawhi all defense. Who else was all defense last year? I'm not going to remember. I think Patrick Beverly was all defense. He was starting. Giannis all defense, obviously. AD, I think, was all defense. Starters. You know what I mean? So, shake. You know what I mean? Shake. Hit up Tom Brady again for that shot. He said, hey, Tom, I left the shot again in Tampa. Let me get that back. He gave it back to him. Shake showed up. Good for you, Shake. Played well. I can't remember what he did against the Clippers or the Nuggets. I don't remember. I don't think it was anything impressive, though, because I would have remembered. Played well yesterday. You know what I mean? Shake is upside down, is up and down, but we need him. We need the scoring punch. And again, the one thing I do appreciate about Shake is how refined his game is becoming. He's definitely working on refining that game, getting to his spots. You know what I mean? That's what you have to do, right? You got to go to that Chris Paul school, right? Where Chris Paul's like not elite, not necessarily elite in terms of speed, quickness. Even at his prime, he was quick at his prime. But it was always the craftiness that allows him to be so damn successful. Because you remember, like Darren Williams was a product of coaching and a product of athleticism, athletic as shit. I mean, if you look up Darren Williams highlights, you see a ton of dunks. You know what I mean? There's a wild dunks. And that's not ever been Chris Paul's game, but it's that mid-range, the dribble, the in and out, the craftiness, the sway you left, sway you right, step back, jump shot from 15 feet. That's wet. So Shake, so the point being, finding craftiness has to be what you're doing. You know what I mean? For Shake, it behooves him to get a little bit stronger and to continue finishing through contact the way he does, finish under the rim. I mean, he has a great knack for finishing under the rim. You know what I mean? The way I got to give it to him. He finishes under the rim really, really fucking well. He's never really above the rim. It's always these layups that just seems like he's a foot off the ground, kind of gliding, and then just English that bitch into the rim. Is beautiful. You know what I mean? So whereas like someone like Maxey jumps out of the gym when he's finishing, he's up there. You know what I mean? That's not Shake really. Shake is using that length and whatever craftiness. So yesterday he shot the 3 well, obviously, but it's the 3 is up and down. We're not at a place where we can depend on that 3 yet. You know what I mean? Obviously we want to, but it's not there yet. So it's good that he has this craftiness. So if the 3's not dropping, he can find ways to score. You know what I mean? He can find ways to score in the half court. Furkan, I don't know. Furkan went 2 for 2 on a pump fake. But again, I think it looked like a 3-pointer when I watched it. I thought it was a 3-pointer. And I'm pretty sure the ref said, give him 2. Tell him it's 3, but give him 2. That way he'll go for 2 for 2. And he did that instead of going 1 for 2. Other than that, 2 for 8. I don't. Not a ton to say about Furkan. I'm thinking Furkan's going to lose his minutes. Tyrese played a good amount of minutes yesterday with the starters, which was kind of surprising. I didn't really understand where that came from. None of our guards are injured, so it was a little bit surprised to see him playing more. I just think that maybe They just like that look of Maxey and Shake and not relying a ton on Furkan or, whatever it is. And then, obviously the end of the game, Max ends up playing more minutes because, they pull out the starters. But I'm thinking that George Hill is going to take Furkan's minutes. And when you get into the playoffs, when you get into the playoffs, you're usually limited to 8. You know what I mean? Not that you're limited to 8, but it's the 8 guys you can trust. Can my 8 guys beat your 8 guys? Because you can't really afford to be fucking around. You know what I mean? Like Maxey's probably not going to play in the playoffs at all, I would bet. You know what I mean? And if I was guessing, if I was a betting man, what I would think that it's going to be is going to be a scenario where it's, obviously Danny, Toby, Ben, Seth, and Joe, right? Danny, Toby, Ben, Seth, and Joe is your 5. And then depending on the matchups, it's going to be probably Dwight, Shake, and George Hill. And if we don't want to go with a center like Dwight, if we don't want to go Dwight at times, it'll be George Hill, Shake, and probably Matisse, I'm thinking. You know what I mean? It's hard. It really is hard to take Matisse off the court. But one of my arguments about trading for Kyle Lowry was, if you want to win a championship this year, right? Let me be clear. I don't want to trade Matisse. You know what I mean? I don't want to trade Matisse. But if the asking price is Danny and Matisse, and Matisse ends up not touching the floor in the playoffs, then there isn't a great argument for why you didn't trade for Kyle Lowry. Now, we don't know everything they're looking for, and the truth is you don't really want to lose. You don't want to lose assets, right? And Matisse is an asset. Maxey is an asset. These guys are scratching the surface of their potential, so you don't want to lose assets. But I think my point is, like a lot of the George Hill thing is there's these, like, people are kind of thinking George Hill is going to take us over the top, and he's not. He's not going to take us over the top. You know what I mean? He just isn't. Like he's a nice player, and what he'll do is when we go against a team like the Nets, depending how healthy George Hill, we don't completely know how healthy he is or what he has left. We need if for George Hill to be effective, that means that we're playing the Nets, right? The best case George Hill scenario. We play the Nets in the last 5 minutes of the game instead of Seth. It's George, because George is shooting as well as Seth is, or somewhere in that arena, and is a better defender than Seth, right? There's not a question. He's a better on-ball, off-ball defender. He's a better defender all the while. He's stronger, longer, all of it, right? Pause. So the best case scenario for George Hill is that at the end of a playoff game, against that team, for example, it's George, Danny, Ben, Toby, and Joe. You know what I mean? And that means George has to be shooting well, right? He has to be shooting well. But that's not going to take us over. So I guess my point is, limit the expectations. I want to win a championship. Don't get me wrong. And it just, that Nets team is bullshit. It's that simple. That Nets team is bullshit. You know what I mean? That Nets team is bullshit. Fuck that team. Fuck that team. I think the Lakers, you see, because when I looked at the Lakers, I said, cool, we can match up with this team. You know what I mean? Our best 3 versus their best 3. Their best 3 is, I guess depending on how you look at it, whatever. It's going to be LeBron, AD, and probably Dennis Schroeder. Against our best 3, Joe, Ben, and Toby. Whose 3 is better? You know what I mean? Our 3rd is better than their 3rd. Is our 1 better than their 1? That's debatable. LeBron or Joe, who's better right now? I think maybe you could argue Joe. You could argue Joe. You know what I mean? You could argue. It's debatable. It is debatable. It's only not debatable in the playoffs right now because LeBron is a proven asset. We don't know Joe in the playoffs yet. And then it's Ben and AD. Ben and AD. AD is better than Ben. Toby is better than, right? So I can fight that. Let's fight that team because our team defense is off the hook. Our role players, I feel like, are better than their role players. So fuck that. The problem here, though, is now we don't even have that. Right now, now it's, okay, so the Nets, whose 3 is better? Well, KD and Joe, okay, who's better? James Harden and Ben, what? Okay. Kyrie and Toby, what? I think I like our role players better than their role players. I like our next 2 better than, LaMarcus and Blake, you're going to have to dial the year back 3 years for me to believe that they're better than right now, Seth and Danny or whatever. Just because ultimately Seth and Danny fit. They offer a fit that makes us better than those 2 guys. You know what I mean? That's all. That's what I'm saying. And Blake can be good. Blake is a great playmaker. That's what makes it interesting. It's really the only thing that makes it interesting is that Blake is a playmaker. You know what I mean? They just had another playmaker on the floor, but I don't know what LaMarcus is. And if they traded for LaMarcus or signed LaMarcus thinking if they signed LaMarcus with the thought that, well, now we have a center to guard Joe, they're going to be sadly mistaken. You know what I mean? And that actually plays into us, right? Because now you're not taking a center off the court. As opposed to if you decided to try to put KD at the 5, sure. You lose that in spurts if you can adopt any principle of the Raptors and have guys flying around at Joe, then you can mitigate some of it, and then you're going to force Joe to guard KD on the perimeter. You know what I mean? And that's going to be impossible. It's not. I mean, I feel good about it. I don't mind Joe guarding KD on the perimeter. But I don't mind. The thing is, I don't mind Joe guarding KD in the perimeter as much as I don't mind anyone else in the NBA guarding KD in the perimeter. You know what I mean? There's no one on the world, in the planet, that's going to stop KD anywhere, ever. And Joe is as good as anyone there. You know what I mean? So, whatever. The point is, that Nets team ruined everything. I don't care what anyone says. I hear people try to cap for it, and I don't see nothing wrong with it. You got a villain. It's not a villain. It is you're gonna watch. How many times are you going to watch a movie where the villain wins every goddamn time? We probably would now only because we always see the hero win. But if the end of Endgame is just Thanos winning, how interesting is that now? You know what I mean? How interesting is that? It's like, oh, this is cool, but now this is the end of Marvel. So this is the end of Marvel. You know what I mean? The reason why Infinity War was great was because we were waiting for the bounce back. What's the vengeance going to look like? You know what I mean? Anyway, fuck this team. Fuck the Nets team. Fuck that Nets team. They ruined everything. And KD, the KD and Michael Rappaport beefing on Twitter, the softest baby shit beef I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen something softer. Michael Rappaport. The problem was Michael Rappaport sometimes, and I used to like him. Let me be clear. I used to like him, but then after a while, listening to his podcast, I started getting he overinflates his place in hip hop. You know what I mean? And he would comment on rappers and shit in a way that I was like, nah, I don't think you should be doing that, or I don't think you have the clout or anything you think the gumption to be commenting like this on these dudes. You know what I mean? You don't have to like their music, but I don't think you can really shit on dudes like this. And I didn't like it. And then he's, it's like, sounds like a New York fan, and you have too big of a platform, I think, to sound like that after a certain point. And, whatever. And this was hating on KD, the softest person in sports. I mean, the most sensitive, without a question, the most sensitive. Acts the least sensitive. He thinks he's the least sensitive, talks like he's the least sensitive, but by far the most sensitive. By far. It's not even close. Goes and messages Michael Rappaport with the most. I almost thought it was a joke. I'll be honest with you. When I read what he said to Michael Rappaport, I thought it was a fake. I thought it was like somebody faked it. You know what I mean? Because, he called him like a cunt and all types of crazy shit. Cover your ears. I'm sorry. It was too late now. Spoiler alert. I said it already, but he's calling him, and I'm like, yo, is this real? Like, you just sound like an internet dude. You sound like you're in an Xbox lobby, like a Call of Duty lobby, and you're just cursing out kids. You know what I mean? Like, what is this shit? It's one thing to speak up for yourself. Like what Russ said the other day, in regards to Stephen A. Smith about not winning a championship, whatever. What Russ said, you see that, that to me is yeah, this is some real shit. And as much as I criticize Russ, I criticize Russ all the time, but man, he dropped some jewels. He says some real fucking shit, man. I love that. That man, I would tattoo that shit on my chest if Russ was someone if he wasn't someone that pissed me off so much. He said some real shit. You know what I mean? And then KD over here, KD just called them whatever. And then apparently Michael Rappaport called his lawyers on KD. What? This is the most clownish shit I've ever heard. I can't even believe I've heard of something so clownish. You know what I mean? But of course, it involves KD. And, I don't know KD personally. I'm not going to call him a clown, but man, he does have some clownish fucking behavior. He got some clown behavior sometimes. I'm not saying he's a clown, but sometimes he be wearing a red nose. That's all I'm saying. So, anyway, he wants to exercise the monkey off his back of not being able to win a championship on his own, with, whatever. But he don't realize it's like, it's not going to work here. No one's going to validate this. If you're seeking validation from fans and you want validation for your legacy, because it's clear he does. He says he doesn't, but it's obvious he does. Well, if you want validation, you're not going to get it this way. No one. They win this championship, there's not a soul alive. But there's going to be people who cap for it, whatever. The vast majority of people are going to shit on it because they're going to think it's fucking lame. That you just, because when it was Kyrie, like, that's the way I like it. Your best two versus my best two. Let's see what it is. Right? And I got Toby, you got Karis LeVert, you got, before Spencer Dinwiddie got injured, unfortunately, you got Karis, you got Spencer Dinwiddie, you got the next best guys. You might have the two best. You have two of the best four. We have two of the best four. And then we have the next best guy, and then you have the two best next guys, right? That's a fight. Now that's a war. Who's going to win here? Right? That's a war. But now you stack the odds because you can't do it on your own. You're not going to get validated. I'm sorry to tell you. If you're looking for validation, you're not going to find it here. You're going to have to meditate and find validation within yourself. Journal and shit. Meditate. Like I did that. Do it. That's going to be your best bet. And stop worrying about people, because otherwise, if you're worrying about how people are going to react to this championship, I can tell you right now, no one's going to respect it. And that's it. No one's going to respect it. I'm not going to respect it. I think it's lame. I think it's lame. I think it's corny. I think it's corny. I thought it was corny when you went to the Warriors. I thought that was lame. I thought that was cowardice. And I thought everything you said after that made it worse. The way you explained it made it even worse. Oh, your best friends are on the Warriors? Motherfucker, you just cried over Russ the other day when you accepted your MVP, but now your best friends are on the Warriors? Lame. It's lame. That's lame. Dame said it best. God bless Dame. I love that man. He's probably never going to win a championship, and that's a fucking shame. He'll win a championship as like a backup on some team. When it's time for like the Blazers to reboot, when they've decided they can't do it, and they're going to pay Dame the respect of being like, listen, you can stay here for the rebuild if you want, or if you want us to trade you to a contender, at the end of his career, and he can come off the bench and have a few moments and maybe win a championship as a backup. I could see that happening for Dame. I don't think he'll win one, but God bless that man, because I that's what I believe, and I do live that way, and I don't give a shit. This shit is clown shit. It's clownish. It's clownish. Do you want to beat the best guys, or do you want to play with the best guys and just win? I want to beat the best guys. That's how I feel. I want to beat the best player. I don't know. Anyway, that's my thing. That's my thing. So we'll see. I think that's it. I don't even know how long I've been talking, but I think that's it. I mean, is there anything else I can add about the trades? Oh, yeah, funny. I said about the Bulls when they traded for Vucevic how bad their defense was going to be. And the very first game that Vucevic played was against the Spurs last Saturday. The Spurs are in the 20 to 25 range in terms of offensive efficiency, points per game, and offensive plus minus. They're in the 20s, meaning they're bad. They're below average. They score 109 points a game. That first game, they scored 120 points. Bulls are not good defensively. That was just that's it. That's it. The Celtics they're going to end up firing Brad Stevens. Pretty sure about that. I feel certain about that. That's a shame. I like Brad Stevens as a coach, but whatever. He's not getting to the players, and sometimes we don't know. This is always a thing. This is the truth. Is sometimes I'll even say things, and I think about that later, because like the Lloyd Pierce Hawks thing. I thought that it was a mistake that they fired Lloyd Pierce. But it seemed like the Hawks fans all felt like Lloyd Pierce needed to go, and then Lloyd Pierce went. And same thing with Brett Brown in the national media. People thought Brett Brown was a good coach. We watched them every day. We knew what it was. They felt that way about Lloyd Pierce. Lloyd Pierce gets fired. I think they're like 7-2 since that happened, or something like that. They have a winning record since that happened. So, go figure. That's it. I don't have anything. I don't have anything right now. The Clippers are up and down. They lost to the Nuggets. The Nuggets. Yeah, Aaron Gordon thing. Watching it, Aaron Gordon is becoming he gave Ben problems. He was guarding Ben a lot during that game. he's kind of like a utility knife for them, like the Jeremy Grant role. But I don't think he thinks he should be the guy. You know what I mean? Like he looks like he's happy to not be the guy there. When I'm watching him. So maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's going to be a good fit. I think that's going to help them. I don't know if that's going to make them champions, but it'll definitely make them better. It's going to make them difficult to beat. So we'll see. You know what I mean? I definitely think the Nuggets can beat the Jazz. I think the Nuggets could probably beat anybody. They're just not going to beat the Lakers. You know what I mean? I think the Nuggets could beat anyone in the West and anyone in the East except for the Nuggets and except for the Lakers and except for the Nets. So, and maybe except for us. I mean, they could beat us. That would be the best game, right? If somehow, God forbid, I don't want injuries, but let's say LeBron misses 3 games in the Western Conference Finals because of COVID, and KD misses some games or something, and we end up in the Nuggets end up skirting through the conference finals and meeting in the finals. That'll be an incredible finals. That would be like, in fact, I want the NBA to, okay, listen, take the Nets and the Lakers, put them in their own league, let them play the finals now. That's the championship. Now let's have everyone else play in the playoffs, and that way we can get the finals we deserve, which is Nuggets, Sixers, and then let's all cherish the beauty of that basketball. That's it, everyone. Wash your hands. You know the drill. Black Lives Matter. Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Wear a mask. Your stupid face. Get vaccinated, please. Don't be anti-vax. Be pro-vax. I got my first shot. I felt great. I was drunk. I felt drunk after it. I'll be honest. I feel great now, though. I got it 2 days ago, and I felt drunk after it. I felt intoxicated because it was extoxicating me. You know what I mean? Anyway, stop Asian hate. You know the drill. That's it. Everyone take it.
Yeah. Justice for the blind. Just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind. Used to come